Watch this story in full. Subscribe, comment and like my channel, Green Mythology, for mythology and history. Gateway 2, the captivating worlds of ancient myth. Now watch the story in full please. The salty spray of the Aegean Sea kissed the cliffs of Phineus's kingdom, a constant reminder of the ocean's boundless power. Yet, a deeper, more insidious force plagued the blind king and his people, the Harpies. They were not creatures of myth whispered in hushed tones, but a stark, terrifying reality. Their very name, snatchers, was a cruel testament to their nature. Phineus, once a favored son of Poseidon, had been cursed for revealing the god's secrets. His once opulent banquets now turned to horror. Each time a meal was laid before him, even the simplest fare of figs and olives, the Harpies descended. They were a whirlwind of grotesque beauty. Their bodies, slender and bird-like, shimmered with iridescent feathers, yet their faces were those of withered crones, twisted with malice. Their talons, sharp as obsidian, were not merely for snatching food, they were instruments of defilement. With each swoop, they befouled the remaining feast with their excrement, leaving behind a stench that clawed at the throat and burned the eyes. The mere sight of them, the leathery beat of their wings, was enough to turn the strongest stomach. Phineus, once a proud and benevolent ruler, was reduced to a skeletal figure, his blind eyes sunken deep in their sockets. His kingdom withered with him. Famine stalked the land, not because of barren fields or depleted seas, but because no food could be eaten. The people, their hearts heavy with pity and fear, watched their king starve, their own cupboards increasingly bare as the Harpies' shadow extended beyond the king's table, disrupting even the simplest gatherings. Rumors, like wildfire, spread across the known world of Phineus's torment. Many heroes, driven by ambition or compassion, attempted to aid him, but none succeeded. The Harpies were too swift, too vile, their attacks too demoralizing. Their shrieks, a cacophony of cackles and guttural squawks, echoed through the palace, a chilling soundtrack to Phineus's slow demise. Then came the Argonauts. Their majestic ship, the Argo, cut through the waves, bound for the distant shores of Colchis and the Golden Fleece. When they anchored near Phineus's kingdom, the air of despair was palpable. Jason, the courageous leader, heard the tales of the Harpies and saw the gaunt faces of the people. He felt a surge of pity and a sense of duty. Among his crew were two brothers, Calais and Zetes, sons of Boreas, the north wind. They possessed a unique gift, wings. Not the grotesque, leathery wings of the Harpies, but magnificent, feathered appendages that allowed them to soar with the swiftness of their father's breath. Their hearts were pure, their resolve unwavering. When Phineus, his voice a hoarse whisper, implored the Argonauts for aid, it was Calais and Zetes who stepped forward. "We shall drive them away, King Phineus," Calais declared, his voice firm, "and you shall eat in peace." The next day, a grand feast was prepared, the most elaborate in years, a daring defiance of the Harpies' dominion. As the aroma of roasted meats and sweet wine wafted through the palace, the familiar shadow fell. The beating of wings grew louder, the air thick with anticipation. Down they swooped, Steno, Aello, and Asipet, their eyes glinting with malicious glee. But this time, they were met not with cowering fear, but with aerial adversaries. Calais and Zetes launched themselves into the sky, their powerful wings catching the sun. The battle that ensued was a spectacle of raw power and aerial agility. The Harpies, accustomed to unchallenged terror, shrieked in outrage as the brothers met their attacks. Calais, swift as a falcon, darted through their ranks, his winged blows sending gusts of wind that buffeted the Harpies, disrupting their coordinated swoops. Zetes, stronger and more direct, engaged them head-on, his powerful wings creating whirlwinds that threw the creatures off balance. The Harpies, for the first time, knew fear. Their snatchers became desperate, the defilement less precise as they struggled to evade the relentless pursuit of the winged brothers. Their shrieks turned from malicious delight to frustrated anger, then to panicked squeals. Calais and Zetes pursued them relentlessly, not seeking to kill, for that was not their purpose, but to drive them far, far away. They chased them across the sea, beyond the reaches of Phineus's kingdom, until the Harpies, exhausted and terrified, were forced to land on the distant islands of the Straphades, meaning, turnabout, islands, where they swore an oath never to trouble Phineus again. Iris, the messenger goddess, intervened, stopping the brothers' pursuit, confirming the Harpies' solemn vow. Back in Phineus's palace, a silence settled, broken only by the quiet hum of conversation and the gentle lapping of waves against the shore. For the first time in years, Phineus sat before a meal that was clean, untouched, and plentiful. He raised a trembling hand, his fingers brushing the roasted quail. Tears, hot and silent, streamed down his withered cheeks. He ate, slowly at first, then with increasing vigor, the nourishment revitalizing his fragile body. The kingdom rejoiced. The people emerged from their homes, their faces etched with newfound hope. The Harpies, once the embodiment of their suffering, were gone. The air, once heavy with the stench of defilement, now carried the sweet scent of the sea and the promise of a future free from torment. Phineus, his strength slowly returning, blessed the Argonauts, offering them guidance for their quest to Colchis. But it was Calais and Zetes, the winged sons of Boreas, who truly embodied the triumph over despair. They had not merely driven away monstrous creatures, they had restored dignity, hope, and the very essence of life to a suffering king and his desperate people. The Harpies, those winged spirits of snatching and defilement, had finally been vanquished, leaving behind a profound lesson, that even the most ingrained misery can be overcome by courage, purity of heart, and the unwavering pursuit of freedom.